Hello, my name is Louise Elizabeth Robertson and I write children's stories, usually for younger age groups, usually stories like this, which you'll find on my website, talesiLove.com. Now this is the first time I've ever made a video to go onto my YouTube channel of my stories, and so I'm quite nervous and I'll probably make loads of mistakes, but you have to bear with me. My story is written for older children and young adults, and I've decided to serialise it on talesiLove.com, and I hope that you enjoy it. Now I'm going to record in little chaptets. So you'll get little snippets of the story, although you'll get the complete story in the video and on the channel. Now I've written the story on paper, and so I'm actually reading it out to you, so I hope that you don't find it too boring, and I'll try and make as much eye contact as possible, and I hope that you really enjoy. So my character is a girl and her name is Will Survive, and most of the stories are with the Woadies, who are magical pick-like creatures from Scotland. And so here we go with Will Survive and the Woadies. And the first chapter is called It's All in a Name. It was just one of those crazy names that is sort of cool and not at the same time. How could her mum have done something so crazy as to name her Will Survive? Well, her mum had, but also hadn't, as Will Survive was actually named Wilhelmina May Survive. Some might say that that was worse. Everyone called her Will, her parents, her friends, her teachers, and as her name implied, Will Survive. She had to live with it, she did, and she would survive. After all, she was Will Survive. Will decided that she actually liked the name. It made her stronger, just having a notable name would. She did not know why she needed to be strong. It was just one of those gut feelings that in the future strength would be necessary. Maybe it was because she was an only child that she had to do most things alone, with no one to rely on except herself. At this moment in time, the reason was not important, but the feeling was real. Will was a fun-loving, happy and lively girl, into everything and never held back. She really loved music. She couldn't play music, but listening to the radio was one of her favourite things. She always liked having music playing in the background when she was doing things. She just felt that she wasn't alone having the songs there. She preferred the radio. She felt like Andy the DJ was her best friend. She also liked the variety of music he played. It was just different to listening to her own playlist all the time. She particularly liked his show as he played a variety of songs which included old songs. You know the ones your parents sing to in the car. Music seemed to change her view on things too. There were some songs that influenced her thought, and the lyrics were just as important as the melody. Once, she was listening to the radio and heard a song by the country singer Johnny Cash. The song was about a boy named Sue, and basically the dad in the song knew that he wasn't going to be around for the boy as he was growing up, so he named him Sue. His dad believed having a name like Sue would mean that the boy would get teased and end up in fights and stuff, and that would make him stronger. Will thought that this was a bit extreme, although in fact it was almost the same for her. Well, slightly. She was a girl with a boy's name. Will Survive was a strong name that would make her stronger, even invincible. There was another song by a singer called Gloria. This song was worse as it impacted on Will an awful lot. One of the lyrics in this song was, "I will survive." Unfortunately, quite a lot of her friends had heard it too. "I Will Survive" became Will's theme tune. There was another song by as you can imagine, this song was sung quite often to Will. There were many occasions when "I Will Survive" raised its ugly head, just like the time she was going to bat in the big game, or when it was her time to climb the climbing wall in the gymnasium. But usually at the end of year exams, just as they were going into the exam room, some smarty pants would start singing "I Will Survive." Then all the other kids would join in, singing and pointing at Will. I will survive, or she will survive. It was funny at first, but every time they had the exam, well, it became very unfunny and even incredibly monotonous and boring. Will did, however, look on the bright side. It did mean that everyone knew her, and at certain times she got lots of attention, so she guessed there were ups and downs to having a memorable name. Other than that, there was not really very much that Will had to survive. There were small things like going to the dentist. Will really did not like the trip to the dentist, as there was always the risk of pain. This was usually just in her head, as the dentist was one of the most kindest and friendliest women that Will had ever met. The other was the hairdressers. This was mainly due to image, as Will was always concerned she was going to come out with some ridiculous haircut and she might bump into somebody that she knew on the way home. So she avoided it at all costs and liked to keep her long red hair just that way, long and red. When there were uncomfortable things like this, Will had a strategy. She would look to the future, to the next positive event in her life, like her birthday or something similar, and know that she had something to look forward to. Finally, the greatest challenge to Will's life was a visit to Aunt May's, but even that was not a challenge on the scale of things. A visit to Aunt May's just posed things like that Will did not particularly like. First, there was a stupid outfit her mum made her wear. She always got her to wear something Mum called smart, which meant an itchy tartan wool skirt and hard leather shoes. Will preferred jeans and a t-shirt and a good old green cardigan, and would just say to herself in her head, I will survive. I will survive. Second was the trip to Aunt May's. You see, Will's parents had been working in the United States of America, and Aunt May lived in Scotland. This meant a transatlantic flight to Edinburgh and a car journey. Both were long and really boring, except for the in-flight movies. Plus, she always got jet lag, which meant waking up at crazy times in the night or wanting to fall asleep mid-afternoon. Will actually dreaded the jet lag. It's okay, she would think, and she could even hear herself singing I Will Survive in her head. If you don't know that song, you might want to look it up when you get it, and then you can get the tune into your head too. Thirdly, there was the big lipstick kiss that Aunt May always gave her on arrival, which she really dreaded and could not avoid. But she did love Aunt May and her peculiar ways. Fourthly was the smell of Aunt May's house. It was old and musty, and as soon as you walked in the house, the smell hit you. It went straight up your nose and into the back of your throat. Will could literally smell the taste of the musty old house the whole time she was there. There were, fourthly, fifthly, sixthly, up to 10 reasons why Aunt May's was a challenge. And saying all this, Will adored Aunt May and had a real connection with her. One of which was that Will was named after her. You know, the May bit in the middle of Will May Survive was because of Aunt May. The other was Will and May were actually very similar. So as you can see, if these were all the issues that Will Survive had to survive, well, things were pretty good in her world. Until. So that was the first chaptet of Will Survive and the Woadies, and I hope that you really enjoyed it and will join me again for the next one. If you want to read along with the story, you can visit the Will Survive page on talesilove.com. So I hope that I will see you again and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.